Hi, welcome or welcome back. I wanted to give an update today because we are at the 1 week mark that I've had My Sicily Bag, and I have a lot of thoughts that I wanted to share on how it's going and all the drama that I've been through in the last week. So I think we'll start with what is going right, going well. And the first thing I wanted to talk about is why I actually settled on this bag. And the first one is obviously stylistically. This one grabbed my attention from the start. I really loved the style of the Sicily line. Particularly saw the original with the Delphine leather first. And I kind of like how the sides kind of go out a little bit. This bag I think will eventually do that. She's just starting to. In fact, you're gonna love this. If I shake the contents down a little bit, I bet I can, a little bit, start to get them to go out on the side a little bit more here. And I think that will develop as the bag goes on. I have another bag. You can see I have some bags here in the wings that I'm going to use for comparison. But I have a Coach bag that is similar in design and it does the same thing where you can have the sides in to have a very square or rectangular look, or the sides can come out a little bit, give it those little side dimples, which make for a really nice silhouette. So stylistically, this is what I was looking for. I really wanted something that had a top handle. I wanted something that had a flap over the front. I really wanted just a single handle. And I'll use the Coach bag for comparison with that one too. In fact, I might as well just pull that one out right now. This is the Coach Grace. It is very similar, and I can actually pop the sides out to show what I was talking about a second here ago, where you can see that it goes out a little bit for a slightly different silhouette. And it has two handles. It is a top opening purse. It's got magnets on the side, which is just like the My Sicily. I actually like the My Sicily better though, because when I do carry this one, and I usually carry it with a shoulder strap, when the handles are down, I have one handle that sits against my side and it's a little uncomfortable. I don't love that, but at least the handles go down. I think my biggest complaint with most top handle bags is that they don't really pivot. They don't rotate like this, and so I don't like it when they are constantly up. It's just looks great in pictures, but not in terms of functionality. So that is one thing. What else? I also loved that it is shoulder style, so it's not too long of a strap here. I know a lot of the other Sicily bags have a crossbody strap, but especially with this size, I don't see myself wearing this as a crossbody. So I really wanted a shoulder carry, and I much prefer a single strap for the shoulder, not double straps, because usually I find that one strap is falling down. So this is much better in that regard. And then I think I mentioned this on my last video. I do have her packed at the moment, but I loved the wide opening. I love that she is more east-west with the rectangular style, so it's really easy to get in, to find whatever it is I'm looking for. And then she closes real easily too. So stylistically, she really ticks every box for me. Oh, and the other thing, I did mention this in the other video, but I love that she has a back pocket. It is extra long. It really is the length of the zipper that you see here. So I don't have my phone in there, obviously, because I'm recording, but my phone probably fits about this much space, so there's quite a bit of space left over. I usually have my house keys in here as well. And I really do like that there is a zipper that makes me feel like it is really secure. A lot of my bags have a back pocket, but most of them are just slip pockets. They don't actually have any sort of closure. I guess a few have a magnet. but even that seems a little iffy. Like if I really want the extra feeling of security, the zipper is much better in that regard. So that was a huge plus for me as well. You know, is it likely that you're going to drop everything? Probably not. Although I did have one incident this past year where I was walking down the sidewalk and stupidly tripped over, there was a crack I didn't see, and went tumbling down and dropped my bag on the concrete. She was unscathed, amazingly, but you know, I really think that the reason everything didn't spill out and go everywhere is because she was completely secured. And so, like I just said, it's that extra layer of security. What else I also like about this bag is that it has potentially, and this is something that is part of the experiment, but I think potentially might be a good quality bag. And what I mean by that, there's several things here. First of all, the leather itself. Wanted to talk about that. So this is full grain leather, and you can feel the thickness of it. You know, if I don't want to pinch it too much, obviously, but if I'm feeling the thickness of the bag, it is substantial. You can tell that there is some, I don't know, some depth there, right? You can really feel the thickness of the leather. It is still soft and really malleable, which I like. Now I did see another person online talk about the slouchiness of this bag, which I did not think of this as a slouchy bag when I purchased it. I can see that with how soft it is. And I really do want it to keep its shape. So I actually have already ordered a base form to help keep the bottom shape so it doesn't sag down here. But anyway, getting back to the leather, I would say that this is very similar to my Dooney & Bourke Florentine bags. If you are familiar at all with this series, this is a really old one because you can tell from the bottom that this is first generation. But the thickness of this leather, it's the same thing. Now this one I don't mind pinching and rolling more because this one is so old, but you can see how soft and squishy, and it is so nice, such durable leather. Like, I'm seriously impressed. And you can feel the thickness, feel the quality of the leather here. I have no qualms really throwing this one around. I really do beat it up quite a bit, and you can see how much that the leather has given and softened up, and it's a really beautiful patina. And even though that this bag has more of a pebbled effect in the texture, whereas the My Sicily is much smoother, I do tend to think that the My Sicily is going to kind of wear similarly, in the sense that because it is full grain, because you can really feel the thickness of this particular leather. And again, I'll use another bag in comparison. This is the Ella from Coach. It is another East-West bag. I think this one is actually from the Outlet, but in comparison, I'm pretty sure this is actually a split letter. It is very thin, and you can feel that when you feel the bag. I am kind of worried about this one really showing wear quickly because the leather is so thin. It definitely seems to be of a a lesser quality, and I'm not sure that it's going to hold up as well, but it also costs a lot less. So I think, it's built for a different purpose. I don't think it is intended to last in hopefully the way that the My Sicily will. So I have high hopes for the leather. We will see how it wears. In fact, I have named her Maxine, which is in honor of my grandmother. That was her name, because I have this very faint memory of my grandmother having a smooth leather bag with nice, kind of a thick leather of this quality. And I remember her as being navy blue. That's what's coming back to memory. But it just seems like the quality is there. The other thing about this leather is that it's, if you look this up, it'll say plonge, which is just French for plunged, and that refers to the process they use to actually process the leather to make it. So not only is it full grain, but the dyeing process, it's aniline, which, doing some research online, I read that that is actually one of the, I think it is the highest here, the highest quality is my understanding, when you have a aniline dyed leather. So the dye actually goes through the entire thickness of the leather. It's not just surface. And so even when it does start to get scratches, which is one of the things we'll talk about, I don't think it's going to show as much. It's not going to be as noticeable with some leathers that immediately show, you know, a different color underneath, because the coloring is really just on the top surface. This is really dyed through and through. So that's something else. The other thing that I like is that the leather that Dolce & Gabbana uses is, and let's see if I can get this right because I'm going off memory. I didn't write this down in my notes. LWG certified, and that is the same level, same quality, same tracking that brands like Ateliers Auguste use, where you can see exactly where the leather comes from, where it was manufactured, certifiable, traceable. So it's more reputable in that regard. I really like that. And so this also was actually made in Italy, which is actually one of the things that I really do like about Dolce & Gabbana. They're one of the few Italian design houses that are still independently, privately owned. They are not owned by one of these huge conglomerates like LVMH. And so I just really like that aspect better. They had a huge marketing campaign, I know, but one of the things that they were really pushing in this campaign was called Fatto a Mano, which in Italian means handmade, made by hand. And their bags are made not only from, well, actually I think the leather for this particular bag came from France, or maybe it was the cow that was in France. I don't know. Well, France came up and so did Italy, but I know that the bag itself was made in Italy, and one of the things that Dolce & Gabbana do is they use Italian craftsman workmanship through various places in Italy. They try and source all the materials from Italy. Maybe it was I think that's what it was. I think the leather itself was Italy, maybe the tannery was in France, and then it came back to Italy for actually being put together. I'll double check that. I can actually scan the bag and actually look up all the information. I guess I should have written that down, but it's before I started the video. But anyway, it is there, and I think that is really interesting, and you know, something that is maybe not as common. I don't know if that's really common among luxury brands, because I don't typically buy luxury brands, but you know, is one of the things that I thought was really appealing about the brand. Something else I read, it originally said on the Dolce & Gabbana site that the hardware was gold plated, and the website has since changed when I noticed the price increases for this bag, which I think they're getting ready for the next season. So I'm not sure if that has something that has changed, or maybe they meant gold tone. It was an error. I don't know. But there's not a lot of bags that I do know, or a lot of design houses that still do gold plating. I remember, I think Chanel stopped doing their gold plating in 1994, I think it was. So even they don't do it anymore. I know Hermes still does, but I am definitely not in that price range. A few other bags that do are Ateliers Auguste. This is like the gold edition of their Mini Monceau. And so if I actually compare it, you know, that's one of the things I'm curious about. Color-wise, it's pretty close. I mean, it could be. I don't know. This is probably something else that is traceable. Now, if you go on any of the websites, it says vintage gold brass. So, like I said, that might be something that is changing for the next edition. We'll see. The other brand that uses gold plating still is, again, Dooney & Bourke, which might surprise a lot of people, but this is 24 karat gold plated brass as well. So I think it's very similar to the hardware here. And again, looking at the metals next to each other, this one does seem to be a bit lighter. Although this is an older bag, and I'm sure there is fading for sure. I'm not sure how many microns of gold plating there is on the Dunenberg. I know on the Ateliers Auguste, they actually do tell you it is 3 microns of gold on the plating for their hardware. But anyway, I thought that was a nice touch. Also something that's a little bit different about this bag. Another thing that is a pro for me is the fact that I feel like it's a very classic style. Now it is a little bit different in the sense that it is much longer, this east-west. Other Sicily bags that Dolce Gabbana have been doing have been more square-ish, not quite this long, so this is a little bit different. But especially with the black, which goes with everything, you know, I definitely wanted to choose something that could go with a variety of different outfits that I could wear year-round, because this is really meant to be my everyday bag. I mean, that's part of the experiment, to see if I can really primarily stay in one bag for a year, and what that would be like, instead of jumping from bag to bag to bag all the time. So we'll see. But it's not flashy, and unless you really follow handbags and handbag trends and know all the brands and could recognize it because you've seen the specific one, I don't think this would jump out to you necessarily as being luxury, as being high-end. It's certainly, you know, it's not monogram. It doesn't have it plastered all over the front of the bag, which I know some people like that. That's just not for me. I don't like it when it's glaringly obvious, and I feel like it's in your face, and it just makes me uncomfortable. So, you know, you'd have a hard time, like I said, unless you actually know this bag. You would not be able to place this immediately. And there is some, you know, branding on the bag. I mean, certainly the plaque here, which is on the clasp. I don't know if I can get it to focus. You can see I haven't even taken the plastic fully off. I tend to be one of those kinds of people that wait till it kind of falls off, try to preserve it for as long as possible. I'm sure it is prone to scratching, and I've seen scratching on just superficial scratching on some older bags. So I know that will come with time, and that's fine. But, you know, especially because it's imprinted, it's such teeny tiny font. I can probably zoom in here a little bit. You're not going to see that unless you're maybe standing right behind me in line at the grocery store. And even then, I think you're going to have to lean in really closely. There is branding elsewhere. On the clasps here, you can see it's on the side. It says Dolce & Gabbana there. It looks like it's kind of impressed, which I would not suspect that there would be fakes, super fakes out for this bag yet, mostly because I don't see Dolce & Gabbana on lists for comparisons. Like when you look at videos and they're talking about like, oh, the top luxury brands, Dolce & Gabbana is never on those lists. And that is something else that I really liked about this bag, because that makes it a little bit more unusual. You know, it's not necessarily a trendy bag, an it bag, although I think they were kind of hoping for that and trying to angle for that at some point. But again, you know, it's a nice looking bag, very polished looking, seems very classic to me. Doctor style bag. Some people compare it to like a lunchbox, whatever. I really love it. And so, you know, style I know is in the eye of the beholder, but it really speaks to me. I really like it, and I didn't think it was too flashy. I didn't think it would be too obvious and too obnoxious in terms of branding. I can also show you elsewhere. If you were looking for your own bag and you were worried about authenticity, another place you could ask or check, ask for pictures of the back of the clasp here, the buckle on the strap. This is actually has the, it's not showing up great, but the Dolce & Gabbana, it's on both sides there. Another thing, which I actually just noticed this today, if you look at the zipper, yes, the zipper pulls have the Dolce & Gabbana. Again, I haven't pulled the plastic off just yet. But let's see if I can do this. If you look at the end of the zipper itself, can you see where it has DG at the end there? It's kind of hard to make. Let me see if I can zoom in once again. Right here, oh there, that shows up a little bit better. But it's there, and then it's also on the inside of the bag. Same thing. Let me flip this back. The zipper here, it has the same thing here as well. I did see in the manufacturing video, they really do use gold leaf for the stamping there, and also on the back side of the bag. So that's another thing to check. But honestly, if you were really worried about authenticity, what I would ask the person you're buying from to do is to prove that it actually has a NFC chip. And this is something that I think is fairly recent in the luxury bag market, where there's actually a chip in the bag. And this is one of the things that came with the documentation. So it says, hold your phone up and you can view the content. And I tried this. This, by the way, is the silhouette for the first original line of the Sicily bags. And you can see how the edges will kind of pop out over time there. But there's a chip there. I did this, and there was a banner. Obviously I can't show you it because I'm recording on my phone right now. But sure enough, I didn't even have to download an extra app or anything. And I haven't even updated the OS on my phone for a while now, but it came right up. It had a link, and I clicked on it, and I went to the website, and that is where I had all the certifications. It told me like where the leather came from. It told me everything it was made out of. It had the serial number, just all the information that you would want on your individual bag. So I thought that was kind of interesting. What else did I want to mention? And then stylistically, for me, it was everything I was looking for. I mentioned already that I only wanted a bag with one top handle. I wanted that top handle to be able to fold down when I was carrying it. Shoulder strap, I wanted the shoulder strap and not just, zoom out there a little bit again, crossbody, because I think that's too long for what I prefer. I love the east-west style. I love the clasp. Closure here, it seems very secure. I love the back pocket, the zipper. I love the flap. I mean, it just literally checks every box in terms of the style I wanted. So that's what I love about the bag. Let me think if there are any other pros I want to mention. I mentioned the leather, the gold plating. It's not flashy. Oh, and in terms of how much it carries, that was another thing, because it can carry a lot. I know I haven't made a video yet about my tier system. That is how I quantify my bags. I don't really call them like small, medium, large, because I can find that those kinds of words are kind of deceiving and don't really tell me how much it carries, because that can be kind of inconsistent. But I call them tiers. And so this is tier 3. The highest would be tier 4. That would be like a tote bag. But this is even like tier 3 plus. It's just shy of a tier 4. So it really can work as an everyday bag, because I can get an awful lot in here if I want to. And then the last thing that I really like about this is that it's really versatile. First of all, in terms of how you carry it, because you can carry it by the handle, just in your hand. You can thread it through your arm, sort of satchel style, or like I said, shoulder carry. So you've got a lot of options in terms of how you carry this bag. It's also versatile in terms of setting, because I intend for this to be an everyday bag. I really would carry this with a more casual outfit, but it does fit what I wear to work for a professional setting as well. I think it's really great in terms of going from day to night. especially because it's the black with the gold. And so even though I would not call this a evening bag, I would call it an event bag. So if I did have a professional setting, something I needed to go to, and I had a bag with me, I would definitely carry this bag. Now, one thing you may notice is that I don't have the hang tag on it, which you see in a lot of the pictures. I do still have it. I have it right here. It comes in its own little dust bag. I don't have it on there for a few different reasons. One of the reasons is because the key that it comes with, which was attached, I already took it off right here. Can you hear that? It's very, I don't know, jingly, and that kind of drives me nuts. I have learned that I don't like trinkets that jingle like this. I don't think it would scratch the bag, but part of me also worries about that as well. So that's one reason I took that off, so I have that separate. But I also don't have the tag on at all. Like I said, for a few different reasons. First of all, you can see that the Dolce Gabbana brand name is right here, and because that is the gold foil again on the black, that is a lot more obvious. It's much more legible. Even the font is much larger than the plaque on the placard on the front of the bag there, and that would show. And so again, I don't really want to be flashy. I don't really need people to know what bag I'm carrying. That is not why I bought this bag. I don't know, maybe it's an imposter syndrome, but it just makes me a little uncomfortable just to be flaunting that around. Now, if I was going and rubbing elbows somewhere and I wanted people to know what a nice bag I had, I would absolutely put this bag on because I really do like the look of it, but I don't think that's something I'm going to carry on the regular basis. The other reason why I don't carry it is because when it is on here and I do want to get into my bag, I find that I also have to flip it out of the way. And so it's just a tiny bit more cumbersome. Maybe I would go so far to say even slightly annoying. And so for all those reasons, I'm just not carrying it on the bag right now. But I do have it if I ever want to, and who knows, maybe I'll actually put it on my real luggage and use the lock someday. It is a functioning lock after all. Like I said, really cute charm, but I'm just not going to wear it on a daily basis. So let's get into some of the cons then, things that I'm worried about. I mentioned at the beginning of the video that there was quite a bit of drama this past week, and that is because I went back and forth a lot about whether or not I was going to actually keep this bag. And the thing that it came down to, let me see if I can do this. I'm going to, complete this, but kind of jostle it about. Like, this is a lot of walking. This is running down the sidewalk, okay? But the reason I'm doing this, actually you're gonna see it better if I turn it. Do you see, I'm gonna tilt the bag. Look at where the handle is. Do you see the leather right underneath the top handle? Do you see how it's bending here a little bit? And what I think is happening is when you're holding it shoulder style, it's almost like it's going in. And this has to do with the slouchiness. Now, on the original Sicily bags, the Miss Sicily, if you will, there actually is another piece of leather that runs here. And one of the things I liked about this bag is that it doesn't have it. And visually, I actually prefer this style much better. But now I think I'm starting to understand why that ribbon runs there. And of course, the Delphine leather that is used on the other Sicily bags is much stiffer. It's not nearly as malleable as this leather is. So I think that's probably part of it too. But that slouchiness, I was just like, oh my gosh, turns out I actually want this bag to keep its silhouette, and I don't want it to be too slouchy. Like I said, I already ordered a base to help keep the bottom from sagging, but that was really driving me nuts. And I'm like, I don't know if I can handle if the bag is going like this, because honestly, this is only going to get worse with time. I guess it really bothers me that much. And so I really went back and forth. But I think it dawned on me, I could get a kind of like another form. What I'm going to do is, I don't really like the looks of it when things kind of poke through the leather. I don't know if I can get it to happen right now, but say this was right here and poking through, like you would see it on the leather. It would make an impression there. Now, if it stays there long enough and you wear it, especially on the back side, if it is rubbing. In fact, I can kind of see, I think, where my cell phone has been. I do expect that to happen. I think that is something that is just going to be part of the natural wear and tear of this kind of leather on the bag, and I have to accept that. So that's something can I live with that? It's something I debated, but I thought, oh my word, can't even get a week into this bag and I'm already thinking of returning it. But like I said, I think I'm going to get another shaper here. Now I can't really get it a full insert because of the way that the bag opens, and it has to be able to close in on itself. I also love the way it just automatically closes. It finds that clasp so easily. It's fantastic. But I could get a piece that would help to keep this layer flat. And when I mentioned that in the other video, they mentioned the slouchiness. It got me thinking, like, maybe over time the sides are going to completely slouch, that this ribbing is not enough. And I think I would be really upset if it really lost its shape. So I think the flat panels that I use as inserts will help maintain the shape, will keep things from poking through. And I also noticed that, if I get one tall enough, it can also brace, because it'll be right underneath the leather here, which is what I really think this bag needs. So Dolce Gabbana, if you are listening, please add something for structure and support across the top. I think this bag really needs that. Another thing that I'm worried about over time, and I know I did mention this briefly in the last, my first unboxing video, the magnets. They do say, in terms of material, this bag is 95%, or the exterior, 95% full grain leather, but 5% PVC, and I'm pretty sure it's the magnets here, because I'll go back to the Coach bag for comparison. As I mentioned, this has a similar closure, and you can see here, it has magnets on the side. They do find each other very easily. Of course, this one is much older and really got into shape. But do you see what has happened to the magnets here? See how that PVC covering, which was, perfectly matched in color with the leather, but it's not a leather coating. It has come off. Now you can easily cover it with something. I could put felt there or something that would not hinder the functionality of it. It's not a great look, and it's not something you're gonna see. You only ever see it on this bag if I completely open it and you happen to be looking at the sides, which doesn't really happen very often, but that is something that I worry about might happen with this bag as well over time. So we will see. That's going to be part of the experiment. I don't think it's going to happen in a year. I think it'll actually last a while. And to be fair, this bag is about a decade old now, so it's been around, and maybe that's not an unreasonable thing after a decade. Another thing that I'm not worried, or I don't know if this is going to be a concern or not, the leather, because it is soft. When I go to get in the bag and I have to reach down, I don't even know if I can do it from this point of view, but I have to reach and get my fingers under there to push the clasp down. It's not like it's difficult to push down or anything like that. Like, it gives very easily, but I do worry in terms of finding it. Like, my nails are, and I don't keep my nails very long. You can see they're pretty short actually in comparison as far as nails go. I have to keep them. This is about as long as I ever get because I play the violin, and so I can't keep them any longer than that. But I do wonder if my nails will scratch here, if there will be scratches that will show. I have noticed some creasing in the leather already. I don't know, I think you can see right here. I'll see if I can, I don't know if I can get it to zoom in to show the detail. Maybe, there we go. Got the daylight to show it. There's a little bit of a crease right there. And that is something, like I said, I know is going to come with time. I expect that to happen. I accept that. I don't really mind really minor surface scratches and creases like that. I think it's actually kind of cool. I don't know if I'll be able to pick it up on camera here, because you really have to, this is so finite, but sometimes you can see the veining in the leather. I can see a little bit. You can see some veins right here. That was the other thing about this leather, because the plonge dyeing process, they can only use really high quality hides. And so they have to pick those very carefully. They have to be essentially blemish free. So like I said, you can see just a little bit of veining, but it's really high quality leather to begin with. But yeah, I don't know how it will show in terms of scratching as time goes on. So that's something we'll see. I'm hoping it's not particularly concentrated here and really evident, but we'll see. And then, oh, the other thing I was going to say, this is not a huge issue. Maybe it's just easier to show it on back. The pull tabs for the zippers. You know, the idea is you can hold on to it and then use that to zip and unzip. There's essentially nothing there. There is so little there. You can barely hold on to it. It's almost completely unfunctional. So I really would encourage them to make them just a little bit bigger, because I can just barely get my fingertip, like just barely pinch it. There's almost nothing to hold on to. I think that's, it's like, you know, they put it there because other bags do that, like, you know, but in terms of actual functionality, in terms of size, I don't think, it doesn't feel like they tested that out at all. The only other thing I think I'm worried about quality-wise is the hardware. You know, all the weight essentially on these clasps goes through this little pin here. And I do wonder whether they will be strong enough. I'm certainly hoping this is something that they field tested during the research phase. But it seems so small and insubstantial compared to a lot of the other points, the materials used. So I'm really hoping that it holds up. So we'll see. Now, I could always get a replacement strap, not a huge deal, but I'm hoping that doesn't happen. Oh, and then actually there was one more thing. The handle itself, the drop, I think it says it's 3.25 inches. And granted, because the leather does give here, it can smush a little bit so to get your arm through. I do wish this was just a little bit bigger, you know, even 3.5, 4 would be great. That is actually one thing where the Coach bag or even the Dooney and Burke, the handles are much larger size. It's a much more comfortable carry, so you can actually get it into the crook of your elbow. So, you know, if I were to change one thing, that would be one of them. I guess I'd like to change a few things, but that would be one of the things on my list that I would actually change, because I would love to carry it more on my arm. But if it's only going up to about here, and I can squeeze it on, but then, I mean, it is tight if I actually get it around my arm. Now, maybe some women have smaller arms, I'm sure they do, but for me, it's tighter than I want, so I'm not likely to carry it on my arm as much. And maybe with the size of this bag anyway, I probably won't carry it that way much, but it would be nice to have the option, right? So that's where things stand at this point. I think that's a pretty thorough overview of what I am dealing with so far, but hopefully that is helpful to anyone who is considering this bag. Like I said, I'm not here to be an influencer. I'm not here to tell you to buy this bag. I'm here to document how it goes, you know, in my experiment, because I really am trying to break myself of buying so many handbags and switching, you know, jumping from one to another just so quickly, trying to see what it's like to be in a single handbag for so long. And when I was doing my research for this bag, I couldn't find anything other than, you know, short videos from influencers hyping the bag. And so hopefully this will prove useful to someone else. But, you know, I still think she's a beautiful bag. I love her. She's perfect for me. And I'll be back I don't know, maybe after I've actually carried her for a full week, maybe 10 days. Certainly I'll be back at the end of the month, and that is my next planned update. So thanks for watching, and bye for now.